Hello and welcome to the Happiness Is podcast with me, your host, Bruce Aitchison from Happiness Egg Shaped. And today, the thing in my head is that song from the 90s. I think it was EMF, International Bright Young Thing. Have we got an international and somebody who is shining very, very bright? Everybody's talking. Teammates, pundits, commentators, anybody that knows anything about this game knows that the future is very, very bright. And she's just a magnificent human. So let's not waste any more time and bring in Scotland International, the one and the only Emma Orr. Hello.
Hello.
I love it. Now, you're talking to us from university because although a rugby player, you're also studying. What is it you're studying? Where are you and what are you up to just now?
Yeah, so I apologise for the ugly kind of background at the moment. I'm at uni now. I'm studying agriculture, so I'm in second year. At Edinburgh campus. So that's where I am right now.
You must be on all the posters, are you not? Is it not come here, Emma Orr goes here?
No, absolutely not. I'm a nobody here.
I'm a nobody here. And farming life is still the life for you. You're on the farm. You're having to graft. There's no going home and put your feet up.
No, I go home to get probably more work, to be honest. I think Dad quite likes it when I'm home because it means he's got an extra pair of hands.
You obviously love it though.
Yeah, no, I do. I absolutely love it. I wouldn't change like my upbringing or anything like that for the world, to be honest.
And lots of people talk about farmer strength, so you can go in the gym and you can lift weights and you can do all that stuff. But there's this special quality that farmers have that they just seem to be able to move mountains and carry things and throw things. You've completely got that, haven't you?
I don't know if I do, to be honest. I do think it is a thing, farmer strength. But no, I'm maybe not the best example of it.
You must be a member of the Young Farmers.
Yeah.
That's one of the craziest institutions going.
Yeah, you put it well there, to be honest. It is a bit mental, but I absolutely love it.
And you take part in all the sporting stuff when they put on. I remember many moons ago umpiring a Young Farmers hockey game, and you'll not even know what this surface is, but it was on ash. Long before AstroTurf, it was on ash, and it was just daft farmers running about with a stick hitting each other. They didn't need an umpire, they just needed a cage, and it was, but they loved it. They were so enthusiastic. That's what it's like, isn't it, when you get off the farm and you get a chance to play? It's just becoming a kid again.
Oh, pretty much. It's you've summed up quite well there. It's a dangerous game when farmers have got hockey sticks and they don't abide by many rules, to be honest.
No, they didn't. Umpiring it was one of the toughest things I've ever had to do. So young farmer from Biggar, and then I would imagine small town means you play everything. You just get involved in everything.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know many sports that I've not tried my hand at, to be honest. There's some bizarre ones in there as well.
Come on then, what are the bizarre ones?
Oh, have you heard of tug of war? Well, you will have, obviously.
Of course I have. Everybody loves a bit of tug of war.
So the tug of war is massive in Young Farmers, and like they do a kind of national competition for it. So I've done that. Absolutely loved that. It's a bizarre one. What else?
Are you allowed to wear studs, or are you just in the big boots?
No, yeah. So you wear like ski boots. That have got like obviously quite a sharp edge on them, so you can like dig your feet into the ground as best you can to hold on for dear life, basically.
Where about on the rope do you go? Are you at the front or the back? Are you somewhere in the middle?
I was right at the front because, well, I don't have a scary face, I don't think, but I was the one like meant to intimidate the other person at the front of the rope.
I would love to have seen that. That's video footage we need to get for Six Nations or the Women's 15 or something. We need to get some pictures of you doing tug of war.
Absolutely not. No, I have destroyed all of them. Don't you worry.
And then being in small town Biggar, so Donna Kennedy, who's been on the pod before, and I know is a legend, and you're her blue-eyed girl. She spoke about you and she was on the pod. She was young farmer. She found lots of different sport, and it was through young farmers she got involved in rugby. How aware were you of rugby when you first started playing?
Not massively. Like my family is so rugby orientated, and we literally lived at Biggar Rugby Club when we were younger. But when I started, I kind of played with the boys team, and then stopped sort of when it got more like when the boys team were getting a bit bigger than I was, and then went back when there was a girls section. But yeah, no, absolutely love it.
And was that when you played it and then couldn't play it, did you want to go back to it, or were you quite happy with the other sports that you were playing at the time?
To be honest, I just like absolutely love being outside and doing any sport. To be honest, but I think going back to rugby when there was a girls section, like I absolutely loved it, and then it was like tunnel vision from there, kind of see how far I could go, and yet like the rest of the sports kind of didn't kind of live up to the fun I had at rugby basically.
See, now I love that because lots of the women rugby players that have been on this have said they didn't have that tunnel vision. They couldn't see how far it could go, didn't know it was a thing. You were aware that playing for Scotland and being a rugby player was a thing.
Yeah, I think kind of when I was playing sort of like my under 15s level, you had like Rona and Tomo and Nelly and Waz and girls like that were playing and like absolutely killing it. And I think that was like a kind of turning point in the game where it was becoming more like advertised and like just growing a lot more. And I think that's so cool that um, that was there for me at the time, if that makes sense, for me to look up to them and see that that was possible.
So how were you looking up to them? Because none of them are bigger players. So was this social media or was this seeing things on TV? Where were you able to see that happening?
I think actually it was all like BBC Alba. That was kind of where the games were streamed at that point. So through that basically, and yeah, my family's obviously very into rugby, so it wouldn't matter who's playing. To be honest, there's always a rugby game on in our house. To be honest.
So who did you look at then? You mentioned heaps of names there. Rona was the first one you went to. Rona, Tomo, was Nelly. All those. Who were you looking at thinking she's awesome? Like who is the hero? If they'd been posters, who would have been the poster on your wall?
That's a tough one. I don't think I can pick.
Oh, come on, pick your favorite.
I think I looked up to Nelly probably the most just because kind of similar sort of position. I played 10 at the time and thought Nelly's just like brilliant rugby player person. So yeah, probably her if I had to choose.
So you're under 15 Biggar watching these games on BBC Alba. How did you make those steps towards becoming the international you are now? What was the pathway for Emma Orr?
I was quite lucky at Biggar. They've got a really great like grassroots kind of youth rugby set up there. So all throughout high school, I did like a rugby academy at Biggar. Nick Humphreys, I owe a lot to him. He kind of got me like into the academy, and I absolutely loved it there. And then from there, did some under 18 sevens, under 18 Scotland sevens with Graham Blackhall, which I absolutely loved that. And then from there, went into the national sevens squad, Ronan the Wales. Absolutely loved that, honestly. What a time. And then kind of from there got into the national squad, and then that's kind of where I'm at now. So it's been an absolute whirlwind, to be honest, and it's went rapid, but I would not change my journey for the world at all.
And it's crazy because you are so young, and even those players you mentioned are not old, but they feel like they've been around for a long time. Emma Wassell's been involved in the Scotland squad for 10 years now. Tomo's not quite there, but they've been around for a while. What was it like going into that sevens camp as the young new kid from Biggar, and getting that chance to go and train and perform with those people that you'd looked up to?
It was intimidating, don't get me wrong. I was like a wee farmer girl from Biggar, kind of going into the city. But like the girls were so welcoming and literally um like took me in open arms. So absolutely loved it. Don't get me wrong, I was so nervous. But then like when you kind of get onto the pitch and you realise like it's just rugby at the end of the day, like everyone's here for the same thing. Um, and to have fun basically. So then kind of all those nerves go away just because you're like, well, we're all here for the same reason and we want to play for our country and stuff. So yeah, that quickly faded. Obviously, the nerves and stuff like that.
Was there a moment where you thought, "Wow, I'm with Scotland here"?
Oh, absolutely. I remember some of the girls were away training with GB at the time, but I remember like playing with um, like Nelly and Jenny Maxwell and things like that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually like playing alongside these girls. Like, what on earth? It was crazy. I still feel like that. But yeah, then I was like, oh my god, like little girl, never been outside of Biggar before, and then to be like playing rugby alongside them was just incredible.
So there's that saying about it's the village that brings up the kid. You then go back to Biggar. What's that like? I would imagine you just become Emma again. That come on, we're going to do this, the farm, the work, the whatever else. But they must be so proud of you at Biggar and in and around the town and at the school. They must be so proud.
Yeah, no, definitely. I absolutely love going back to Biggar and back down to the rugby club and seeing everyone like the rugby club has this motto. It's quite cheesy, but I think it's very fitting. It's one club, one family, um, and it just feels like that when you go back there. Like regardless of how long you've been away or if you've been doing other things and you come back and everyone kind of is just like happy to see you there again. It is brilliant.
And you're now Emma Orr, the international rugby player. People are asking for your autograph and for photographs and can I get your socks and all this kind of stuff. How does that feel? Are you pinching yourself at those moments?
Oh, 100%. Like a good memory is the last game of the Six Nations just there against Ireland, and like as you walk from the Dam Health back to the changing rooms, there's the tunnel, and there's just kids and families everywhere, and there's people like wanting you to sign their foreheads and things like that. And it's like, what is going on? Like, it's crazy. Like wanting your boots, like you say, and socks and things like that. But it's just incredible to see like how much the women's game's growing and the support that we get now is just it blows my mind every time. Like honestly, it's absolutely love it.
Right, honesty call. Do you practice your signature?
Oh, obviously.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Yeah, everybody would, and if they say no, they're lying. So you're playing on the Dam Health. I'm one of the ones that stands there at the tunnel. My daughter Katie wouldn't leave, and Chloe took about 4 hours after the what game was it? The Wales game, and we had to wait because Katie needed to see everybody, and Chloe was last there. That support, it's not filling the Dam Health yet, but that's definitely an ambition. I spoke to Emma Wassell recently. She was saying cheesy, but it feels like the 16th player. How important is it to have those people on the touchline supporting you?
Like absolutely massive. Waz is right there with like when you're playing and you hear like the crowd calling like Scotland and you're at like the pressure's on maybe or something like that. Like it honestly lifts you so much. And a lot of the time, if there's a stop and play, and you, like most of the time we'll come in as a group and we'll like just listen to the crowd and like listen to who's all there around us and who's shouting to support us and we remember like why we're here and who we're doing it for and it like it's crazy the support and what that can do to your performance as a team. um so yeah, no, it's like I can't put into words how much it means to us, to be honest.
And it's so different when you go away with the sevens, because there's that little band of family that go away, and not everybody's family can be there all the time. So you kind of get adopted by the hardcore group that go. What's it like going away with sevens, smaller group, maybe smaller crowd, that game after game, having to peak at the right time? It's a completely different experience from just getting ready for a 15s game.
Yeah, no, it is. It's completely it's a completely different game. I remember when we were away doing at Rugby Europe, Shona Campbell's family are like such great supporters, and they were all there in these sort of tartan bucket hats, and it's crazy like how they just they're your mum and dad for the weekend. Like, it is brilliant. But no, it's such good vibes. Like Rona with her ukulele and just I'd say it's maybe more chill, like a more kind of chilled vibe to it. Then obviously when it's time to switch on, like we do. So I do love that side of my rugby journey as well. Like sevens has been great.
And a sevens highlight. What's the sevens highlight?
I think probably it's got to be the Commonwealth Games. Just last summer there, that was like probably my favourite rugby memory to this day. It was just unbelievable, to be honest, to represent like Scotland, Team Scotland, and do it with the Scotland girls is just amazing. Loved every minute.
And you were staying at the university, but you had to share with some of the other sports, didn't you?
Mm-hmm, we did.
The lawn bowlers had to they moved in, and you had to quieten down a bit at night time.
I know, I think we were in with the lawn bowlers, and I actually can't remember what other sport it was. But yeah, there's some. I think one of my actually in our apartment bit, we had a lawn bowler next door to us, and she was great chat. Like, she was joining in with the band and everything. It was so funny, so good.
And being involved in that multi-sport, I know it wasn't quite an Olympic village. There was, you were out at the university and you got bussed in, but did you feel the energy of that, the Commonwealth Games, or was it just a sevens tournament?
No, I think it was like the village was so cool, kind of seeing all these different countries and swapping like pin badges and things like that. We had a competition, see who could get the most different pins and things like that, and just chatting away to people and learning about their sport and things like that was so special. It's something you don't really get to experience in rugby that much. So yeah, like the multi-sport event was brilliant.
And playing in that stadium, I mean, the Sunday, the place was absolutely rammed. England Lionesses won the European Championship that Sunday night. There was so many eyes on women's sport. Do you feel some responsibility towards that?
I think I feel like any women playing sport is brilliant. Like, and for the Lionesses to be so successful and to have like just as big a crowd to watch like the women's sevens as the men's sevens and things like that is brilliant, and it's so cool to see like how kind of equal it can be. So yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Is that something that you talk about as a squad, that legacy idea, being role models for younger kids?
Yeah, definitely. A big part of our journey to the Commonwealth Games last year was Churas Brosnik. I think I'm probably not pronouncing that very well, but Scott Forrest brought that in. So it basically means on a journey to inspire. So basically, we were on a journey to inspire kind of the next little girls to pick up a rugby ball and play sevens or 15s, whatever it may be, not even rugby, any sport, to be honest. So yeah, that was a big sort of part of our team like goal as well. Like, regardless of how we did on the pitch, like we'd hopefully still be inspiring little girls. So yeah, loved that.
How cool is it to think that there are kids running around pretending to be MR?
It blows my mind, to be honest. I still feel like a kid, to be honest. But no, it's crazy. I still can't believe it.
And when you were growing up, and you've spoken about watching those games on BBC Alba, when you were playing, was there I'm like Helen Nelson, or I'm like Lisa Thompson, or were the male players still the ones you would pretend to be?
I think probably still like kind of looking up to the men's players probably, and like can try to be one of the men's players. But I think like that's probably changed in the kind of last 5-10 years. Probably like girls are more comparing themselves to like, I want to be like Chloe, and I want to be like Waz and things like that. So which is so special. I think that's happened over quite a short period of time, which is so exciting.
The group are really close, and the girls that you've spoken about have been through that transition from it being amateur and having to work full time and try and train full time, and then that hybrid contract, and now we've got players that are full time rugby players. Do they ever get the young ones in the corner and tell them you've no idea how lucky you are?
Oh yeah, there is quite a lot of times where the young team will maybe be moaning about something like ridiculous, really not worth moaning about, and then you get people being like, "You don't know like what it used to be like," obviously in a joking way. But no, it's great, and it's such a like, it just feels like we're all the same age, to be honest. Like we're all just like
Because
in
you're
it
all
together and
daft.
stuff like that. Yeah,
Because you're all daft.
basically.
Yeah. I mentioned Donna Kennedy before, who, is an absolute legend of the game and is so proud that you've come out from Biggar to, do what you've done. And she's really hopeful for what the future looks like for you. How much do you have to do with Donna? Is that a nice mentorship to have?
Oh, absolutely. It's so cool. Um, no, I kind of like I'd always heard about her, like didn't really like know her at all personally or anything like that until maybe a couple of years ago, and she reached out to me over Facebook Messenger, I think it was, and then literally
It would be
every
Facebook
like
because unfortunately Donna's like me and she's old, so it would be Facebook. The
yeah.
young team are all on Instagram, but Donna's still on Facebook.
So yeah, I think she like messaged me and saying like a really nice message basically, and now every game since, so I usually give her a wee message or I'll see her at the game or something like that, which is a really nice kind of relationship to have, and it means a lot to me that she's kind of buying into my journey and stuff like that, which is really special to me.
And there's a group of former internationals that are really being proactive about the support they give to you guys and trying to tell the story. There's a play being written about the first Women's World Cup, and there's all sorts of things going to raise the profile. How important has it been to learn about what's gone before you?
Oh, massive! I think pre kind of World Cup we had the Thistles, which is the kind of former internationalists come in, and that was just such an eye opener to see kind of the journey they'd been on. And now we actually, to every match, we take the first rugby ball that the Scotland women played with, which is so special. I think it's got like all the signatures on it, so you can pick out like Donna's and like Lee Coburn's and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it's massive, to be honest, and I really like love the relationship we have with them, and the support they give us is absolutely brilliant.
You've got that motto at Biggar, and it sounds like the Scottish environment's not too dissimilar to being that big family.
Oh, definitely, actually. I think that's comes with rugby in general. To be honest, it's such a like a community, and like has that kind of family feeling, and the national team is like follows that suit massively. It's just like so welcoming, and like everyone's from like different backgrounds and different kind of journeys and stuff like that, and to come together and do it for rugby basically is so special.
Right, you mentioned it, and you mentioned them coming in before the World Cup. Now you've got players there that was their first one, and they've missed out, and they've been close, and they've tried to qualify. You rock up, first go, yeah, let's go to New Zealand, everybody, come on, let's go have some fun. Were you turning to some of the old bucks and saying, well, how easy is this? Like, how easy is qualification?
No, absolutely not. I think I would be put in my place if I said that. But no, they definitely did all the hard work and kind of going through that qualification journey and stuff. And just came along there. So no, hats off to a lot of hard work went into it before kind of I was on the scene.
Where were you when Sarah Law kicked that goal?
I was watching it actually at my boyfriend's house, which is actually just crazy to think, like, because I remember him saying to me, but like, oh, we're like, are you kind of, have you got FOMO, like you feel like you're missing out, and then I was like, oh, like this time next year, that's gonna be my goal. Like I want to be there in that squad, and then I made my debut the following Six Nations kind of, which is just, it's mental. But no, I think that is kind of a turning, not a turning point, but a big moment in my rugby journey there, and watching that and being like, I want to be there, like I want to be part of this. So yeah.
The hairs on the back of my neck stood up there when you said you were watching it and you said, in a year's time, I'm going to be there, because that's not a privilege players have had before. The games weren't televised. You couldn't watch Sarah Law kick that goal. You know, you wouldn't have known that they were thousands of miles away playing a qualification game. So the game has completely changed. If you had a crystal ball and you could look into it and say in 10 years' time, what do you think it's going to look like?
Oh my god, that's a very good question. I think the game has grown, even in the last kind of 5 years, like I think it's only on the up, so can only get bigger and better, I think. So yeah, it'd be really cool to see a women's British and Irish Lions as well in the future. That would be sick.
Yeah, that's interesting. That was actually on my list of things to ask about, but we'll come back to that one. So
Okay.
you're sitting there watching it. You turn to your boyfriend saying, "A year's time, that's where I'm going to be." Six Nations debut. I mean, that's the stuff dreams are made of, really. To play for your country. I know we'll get to the World Cup in a minute, but the Six Nations is still, it rolls around every year. You see it, you know it's there, you've been and watched, you felt it. What was that like, making your debut?
It's actually so, it gives me goosebumps thinking back to it, to be honest. Just, it was incredible. Like, it actually kind of happened because of COVID. So I kind of got thrown into it. So I think Hannah and a lot of the team had been wiped out with COVID at this point. So I was starting, and I honestly, like, I came into the training squad for the Six Nations. And for the opening game, I was like the 25th man, sort of the reserve. And I was like fully expecting to be that for the whole tournament, and just kind of see what it's like, and being in around training and stuff, and then to be starting next week, I was like, oh my god. But it was just brilliant. Like I turned 19 just after, so it was just absolutely mental. It was down in Wales. Mum and Dad couldn't get down because it was lambing time, so they had to be busy. But they made it to the game the following week, so yeah, it was just unbelievable. I
There's
was
so many
back.
bits of that I love. There's so many bits of that I love. Being so young, mum and dad are like, we've got to get the lambing done.
I know. But no, they made it to the following week, so that was okay.
That's cool. So you must have had 10,000 messages on all social media, WhatsApp, like just wishing you well. How are you able to stay calm? I mean, I think I would be running around peeing my pants. How do you prepare?
I it is difficult. I think a lot of the messages like kind of get me so like excited for it and ready for it, because you see messages from people that you've not spoke to in a while, and you're like, oh, they're thinking about me, or they're like watching this weekend and stuff, and it just means so much to like for people to take time out of their day to give me a message, and just like say go well and stuff. Um, but yeah, usually I'll phone mum and dad, or one of my siblings or something like that. They're quite good at bringing me back to earth and kind of telling me that it's just a rugby game at the end of the day. So yeah.
Be careful with all those messages, because they're going to want tickets, right? So just be careful with those. So you mentioned their mum and dad and siblings. They will bring you back down to earth. It's important to
Mm-hmm.
have that support mechanism around you. You've got Biggar Rugby Club, you've got Donna Kennedy, you've got the Scottish Thistles, you've got the experienced players. But when you go back home, it's right, get your boots on, you've got some work to do, and you stop being Emma or the rugby player and back to just being daughter or sister. Or, it's important to switch off. Does that help you become a better player, do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I think like everything's about balance. I would say, in as much as I like, most people are like, Emma, stop talking about rugby for 1 minute. It's brilliant to be at home and have the farm and that kind of other side of my life where it doesn't really matter how I've performed. Like they're still gonna love me regardless, if that makes sense. So it's brilliant and to have them and for them to be there in the good times and bad. So yeah.
Has nobody tapped you on the shoulder, no strength and conditioning coach, and said, Emma, you're supposed to be resting. You go and take the weight off your feet. You can't be lambing. You can't. Have you not had that chat yet?
There was 1 week I had got injured, and like what our doctor or physio was like, right, Emma, you need to rest for the next like 2 days. But I was like going home for that week, and I was like, yeah, I'll be resting, don't worry. I got home and I was like, Dad, like I'm meant to be resting, and he was like, it's fine, like come on, and was like straight outside basically helping with the sheep. So
Yeah,
I
there's no
wouldn't have it any
injuries in
other
the
way
farm.
probably.
The
Nah,
injuries on the
exactly.
farm. Just get on with it. Unless your leg's hanging off, you still get on with it. So
Exactly.
there might come a point in the next 5 years where studies are done, full-time professional athlete. Who knows where that will be and what that will look like, because we've no idea. Like you've said, the growth of the game has been unbelievable. So the next 5 years could be even more, insane. Would there be a point where you could be happy just doing rugby?
Yeah, 100%. I think, to be honest, that's probably the goal at the moment. I'm just trying to get through uni and bank that, and then do rugby for as long as I can. I think, and then think of a backup plan after that. To be honest,
Okay, so the
but
farm's always
yeah,
there.
hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully, yeah. Okay, and you mentioned the World Cup and the Thistles coming to speak to you, and I was sort of making fun about you found it easy. A World Cup is, the Six Nations is a big deal. The World Cup comes around every 4 years. Players can be sensational for 3 years and then have a bad World Cup year and don't get to go. Everything kind of fell into place, and you get to go to a World Cup, not just a World Cup, but a World Cup in New Zealand.
I
I
know.
mean, talking about dreams, and some of the players who had been through unsuccessful qualifications couldn't believe their luck. You must have been in dreamland when you're getting on that plane. You went through all the preparations, you had the leaving dinners, you did all those things to go to New Zealand. I mean, now I'm going to shut up for hopefully a few minutes, because there must be so much to talk about from that experience.
Oh, honestly, it was just incredible. Like, obviously, coming from a farm, you don't get to go abroad that much or on holidays and stuff. So it was like obviously the longest time I've been away from home, and the furthest I'd ever like never been abroad hardly. Come like if it wasn't for rugby, so to be going to a World Cup in New Zealand, like it was just incredible to be honest, and like the kind of playing out in Whangarei was just unreal. I remember when our last game against New Zealand, we drove, like the team bus was driving into the stadium, and like usually the bus is quite loud and chatty and things like that. And we get to the gates where we can see like all the crowd there to watch their home team, the Black Ferns, playing us, and the bus fell silent, and everyone's just like taking in kind of how many people are there, and like it was just incredible. I think that'll stay with me forever, to be honest. That feeling of like, oh shit, but also like this is so cool. Um, so yeah, that and facing the hack as well is just brilliant. Like hearing their crowd and like their national anthem and things like that, and then like getting to sing our national anthem and picking out the little like Scotland flags in the crowd and stuff, and like the traveling support from home like there is just like incredible as well. It was like one of those moments where they're your mum and dad for the time there and stuff. It's just absolutely brilliant. another core memory, to be honest, from that trip was we had a lot of birthdays like when we were away, and obviously they're spending it like away from their families and stuff. So before we were kind of getting set to come home, we went to a beach. I can't remember the name of it now, but it was like beautiful sunset and like gorgeous sand and stuff like that. And we had a kind of like birthday party and like a little campfire and stuff. And we honestly sat there. It could have like almost the whole night, like singing songs, like playing ukulele and stuff like that, and just like basically reminiscing of like the month or two that we'd been there, and just laughing and talking about all the stories, and just like being so grateful and knowing how lucky we are to be there in that small group, and that like these times don't last forever basically. It was just like amazing. That'll stay with me forever as well, to be honest. That moment.
I've got no doubt it's class hearing you and sort of drifting away. I could see in your eyes that you're sort of taking yourself back there. Um, the you guys, the squad, are quite active on social media, which I think really helps, and you're all quite accessible still. The game's not got to the crazy point where you can't reply to things or you're having to stay off social media. So we were able to get a glimpse. Not many of us were able to be there, but you had so many experiences that you can't get unless you're at a World Cup in a Scotland squad. When you were invited to the marae by the local people to experience that culture, were you pinching yourself, or were you thinking this is just like being at Biggar?
No, that was definitely like these people have like kind of let us come in to see their way of life and their culture, and that was brilliant to see. Like they did a haka for us, and we sang Scottish songs, we sang kind of their kind of songs, and it was just so cool to like we're from Scotland, and like the other side of the world, and they welcomed us like we're a family. So again, that is just, it shows you the power of rugby basically, and the power of just being like kind and welcoming. So yeah, that was another brilliant memory we've got.
And then when you're in the hotel, I think it was Rona that organised a bit of a social with, I think it was Japan and France. Was that right? When you
Yes.
when you, when you were in the hotel, there was a bit of just a social event. Those are the things that again can only happen in a World Cup. You Six Nations, it's business. Everybody flies in, preparation, game, and then sort of dinner and away. But being able to spend time with opposition in the hotel, another unique moment.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, just it's so cool to see nations coming together when you're like enemies basically off the pitch, and you're like analysing each other through the week and things like that, and then and like knocking lumps at each other on the pitch, and then you have like a drink after the game together. It's just such a cool like quality of the game, and of sport basically. So yeah, no, that was great fun. I think one of the other socials we had was like a silent disco, and it was like just like a random crowd of like different people from teams and stuff, but it was great fun as well.
So you're sitting on the beach, campfire on. I would imagine it was a bit of a love-in, telling everybody how much it meant and how special you are to each other. Who's sitting either side of you at that campfire? Who's the buddies? Who's the ones that are closest to you in the squad?
I think I was roommates with Eliane Clark for kind of 2 weeks of the trip, so we were quite close. I think Eliane, and I think probably Eva or Shona as well. I think like those girls mean a lot to me. Just like being through kind of the pathway together, and doing sevens together and things like that. So on similar journeys basically. Yeah. So it's so cool that we kind of got to do that experience together as well.
And you're sitting there reflecting back on the World Cup. Were you able to take moments and look ahead and say, we want this again, or let's go again, or let's get better in the Six Nations? Or was it just about those moments that you shared there?
I think probably a bit of both, like nostalgia of where we'd all come from, being like kind of younger, and then to where we were at that moment in time, and how kind of proud of each other we were, and then also kind of like look into the future and what's to come, and how much we just want to get better and kick on and kind of keep getting to do these experiences together and things.
So it's fueled the fire, you're saying?
Yeah, I would. That's the word or the phrase I was looking for. But yeah, definitely just to kind of come out of the back of maybe a World Cup that we wanted to do better in, and then kind of going into Six Nations and getting 2 wins, as well as like where we want to be heading on that upward kind of spiral. So hopefully it continues.
It's been crazy from that moment of your debut to think Commonwealth Games, World Cup, biggest crowd you've had at Dam Health, playing against it. These things are they're just growing and growing. It's tough in Scotland because the player pool is small, but the competition now in the centre is tough. There's some big decisions coming for those positions. What does it look like in the squad when there's that competition? Before, Was got, I think, 54 caps on the bounce. It was just sure she's in. Now all of a sudden, out injured for a little while, other players have come in. Jade was missing at the start of Six Nations. Other players come in. That's exciting for us as spectators, but what does it make up for the squad?
I think it does bring that kind of friendly fire in training and things like that. And to be honest, I think only good things come of it, because like it's so good to see there being more competition and more kind of fight for positions and things like that. And ultimately, like if you're being competitive for your position, you're going to get better. You're going to push your teammates and push the team and drive the standard. So to be honest, as hard as it is, like competing for positions against friends, like it is kind of good for all, and the greater good of the squad and the results. So yeah, it's good. It's definitely a good thing.
And you're a wanted lady because you've done sevens, you've done 15s. GB, I've got no doubt, are keeping an eye on what you're up to, but you're busy with studies and being a 15s player. How do you make those decisions? How do you decide? Obviously, 3 Scottish players have gone to GB sevens and are playing in the circuit, but there's a big competition coming up in the autumn. Six Nations rolls around again very quickly. Are you able to do both?
I would love to be honest.
Putting you
That
on
would
the
be my
spot here.
dream. Like I do absolutely love sevens and 15s equally. I think 15s is the right thing for me to do the now while I'm still studying and can be based in Scotland and things. But sevens is like definitely something I'd love to do in the future, and to give my all to. And I think like I couldn't give my all to both, if that makes sense. Like I would rather give 100 to one thing and then hopefully get a chance to do sevens again in the future. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
So when your boyfriend asked about FOMO, when you're watching the GB7s and you see Rona and Tomo and Shona out and about and performing in the sevens, is there a bit of you watching going, I'd love to be doing that?
Yeah, no, there definitely is, especially kind of coming off the back of the brilliant seven season we had, kind of the Commonwealth Games here. I definitely like have FOMO. But similarly, like absolutely love 15s and love the opportunities I get with that as well. So I guess you can't have it all. So no, I'm loving where I'm at the now.
You can't have it all, but you've got the option of having it all, and there's something different in there for all of us. So 15s is coming. We've got this new tournament coming up in the autumn, which is causing a bit of a stir. I have to admit, I'm still not 100% sure I fully understand it, but it's going to mean that there's more competition. You probably get to play countries that maybe historically have not been opposition. That's exciting times, isn't it?
Yeah, so exciting. I think like it's just evidence of how where the women's game is going, that we can have these kind of tournaments and to play to play like lots of different nations is class, because you get to experience different types of rugby and how to deal with those challenges. So yeah, so exciting, and it's what we set out to do at the start of the Six Nations was qualify for Tier 2 of the WXV, and we did that. So yeah, no, looking forward to getting a strong pre-season and heading into that.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. Are you good at the analysis bit? Do you enjoy that bit of it?
I do
No.
enjoy it. Because I feel like I just don't pick up on things very well. Like, the coaches are so good at it, so I'll just hear what they have to say and then kind of agree with them, basically.
Yeah, just let me play. I just want to play. Just throw me the ball and I'll be fine. Yeah, that's the analysis. So you mentioned it before, and I am keen to hear. The Barbarians at the moment is the only high-profile invitational team that is accessible to women, and I think anybody that's been involved in it has loved it. But it's not at the size and magnitude and importance as a Lions or a Lionesses, or I'm not sure what name would be given to it. Is that a dream you hope happens in your playing career?
Yeah, no. As soon as I kind of seen that was a possibility for women, it's just like I want to do that. Like, I'm determined to do that one day. I think that would be so cool. Kind of growing up and like watching the men's Lions tours and things, and seeing Scots be successful in that, it's just kind of fueled that fire that like I would love to do a women's version of that, to be honest too.
Do women players ever actually get asked about this stuff? Or is it through reps that go and, because there's been a consultation paper about it and all this, but I always wonder, who do they actually ask?
I don't actually know. That's quite a good question. Like, I don't think any of us as players have been asked about it. It's maybe more of something like someone above us. I'm not sure.
But
But
if
yeah,
they asked you, you're
interesting.
saying, yeah, go for it, we're all in.
Definitely.
Yeah, it would be an amazing thing. I don't know how it would work if it would go alongside. I think maybe it stand alone. What country do you go to? Because the power in women's rugby is different in some
Hmm.
ways from men. But yeah, so we've come from Biggar, played sevens, been to Commonwealth Games, World Cup in New Zealand, Six Nations. Surely you've completed it. Like, do you need to keep going?
Oh, 100%. I think I'm like so grateful to have got to do those like massive events, but ultimately, like, I just absolutely love it, and I don't want to stop any time in the future, to be honest. So no, I'm just like want to keep going and see how far I can go, and in Scotland can go, to be honest.
So you are, young international player already. It feels like you're established, but there's still so much to come. If you were to pick out a couple of players that maybe are not quite there yet, that are maybe not internationals yet, but you think give them a season, 2 seasons, we're going to be talking about them. Who would it be? Give us your tips for the future.
I think
This is your chance
Alex.
to either make or break friendships. You realise that?
I know you're really throwing me in it today. I think so obviously I'm training at the Edinburgh-based regional training centre now, so train with a lot of the futures. And Alex Stewart, she plays at Edinburgh Uni as a back row. She's absolutely brilliant. Like, the way she applies herself and just her skill set is ridiculous, to be honest. Who else? Obviously Fran. She's absolutely unreal. Like, we've seen that in the Six Nations, electric. So yeah, no, it's
Crazy,
so
crazy
exciting.
start. Because now everybody's like, Rona, who? Like, like we've got Fran. Like, it's fine. Rona, you can go and play sevens, Rona, because now we've got Fran.
Yeah, no, she's been absolutely brilliant. Also, like, Holly McIntyre, also Edinburgh Uni player. She's a centre, and she's like so good too. Plays a bit of sevens and 15s as well. So really exciting as well. There's too many. There's honestly
No,
too many.
that's
I
good.
could
That's
be
that's
here
a
for a
good
while.
start. We like that. It's a good start. Who have you found really difficult to play against? Who's the opponent where you think, oh no?
Um, That's a hard one. I think, what, in the Six Nations or?
Any opponent. I mean, you stood and faced the Haka. And I've spoken to Tomo and Was and a few others about it, and they said that they were between being a supporter and a player. They wanted to watch, but then they also had to remember they were going to play against them. So they were kind of caught in two worlds. I mean, that must be challenging playing against the whole team. But are there individuals that you look at and think that I'm going to be busy today?
I think that New Zealand game's a good one because we were kind of like standing there being like fangirls, kind of watching these the Black Ferns players, but also being like, oh, we've got to play these girls now. But I think the All Blacks 10, she was incredible. Like, she's just an absolute wizard, to be honest. All of their backs, like Teresa Fitzpatrick and Stacey Waka, were just like ridiculous on the ball. I was like, could not keep up at all. So they were definitely hard opponents. There's a lot of English girls as well that I don't really want to play against ever again, to be honest. They made me look a bit silly, to be honest, but it's just so cool.
You did all right. You did all right. Denny, you worried. You did all right. No, it's an interesting thing because you're spoken about when you listen to the pundits. A lot of them name Emma Orr as a threat for Scotland and somebody that, if he can get on ball, will do some damage. Do you get that impression that you're being watched and being marked, or are you still just playing?
Not really, to be honest. I feel like when I'm playing, I just try to completely like block out what everything else, to be honest. So like, I wouldn't say I feel that at the moment, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Just you keep feeling that and keep playing the way you're playing. So the last question, and this is something I didn't prime you for, so there might be an and an ah, but for me, happiness is egg-shaped. For you, Emma, or happiness is?
Friends and family.
So boring. So boring. I thought we were going to get something to do with lambing or ukulele playing, but we went with friends and family. Right? Okay. No, that's fine. That says
Can
a
I
lot.
go again?
Yeah, go again. Emma, or for you, happiness is?
I don't actually know. No.
Ice cream. Ice cream.
Chocolate. Let's go
Chocolate.
with that.
Finishing my exams. Emma, I've absolutely loved speaking to you. Thank you so much. You're a busy person in between exams and training, so I really appreciate you giving me some time. Thank you very, very much, and all the best. Hopefully see you soon.
No, thank you very much for having me.
Class. Absolutely loved it. The future is very bright. So honest, so humble, but an absolute destroyer. 7s, 15s, doesn't matter. She can do it all. And just finished her exam in the library to chat to me before disappearing off to training, and then probably got some work to do on the farm as well. It's just non-stop, but I'm looking forward to see what she brings in the future. If you enjoyed it, you can get the podcast on Apple, Acast, and Spotify. Download it, tell your friends, stream it, share it with your pals, leave a review if you've enjoyed. You can watch on Facebook and YouTube, and hopefully we'll see you all again very, very soon. We've got some exciting news coming up that I am keen to share with you. In the meantime, my name is Bruce Aitchison from the Happiness Is podcast, and my happiness is egg-shaped, and I hope you are all safe and well. See you all again very, very soon.